Hello, I'm Robin Wichelle with the Bahamas Weekly and GBI Tourism TV. We're standing at Ross University, Bahamas here on Grand Bahama Island, and we've got an exciting program coming up. We have a special guest as part of the Island Heartbeats experience, and that special guest is best-selling author Terry McMillan.
I've written this book called Getting to Happy. It's a novel, and it comes out in September, and it revisits the women from waiting to exhale. I'll qualify it by saying this, since Nicole had asked me to talk about women and us tapping into our passion and how you do that. I think at our age, I have found one or two things to be the case. Some women are afraid of it and they ignore it. They do everything they possibly can to ignore it, especially if you're an empty nester. Or if you never had children and you find yourself 40s, 50s living alone and either never having been married or having had a marriage, and regardless of how it may or may not have ended, you find yourself to some degree alone and or somewhat maybe isolated in a sense. And there are a lot of women that I'll put it this way. After I went through this horrible divorce and everything, I started reading from this last book that I had written, and it was called The Interruption of Everything. And so when I had to go around touring, sometimes, I would get like up between 1,000, 2,000 women mostly at my signings. And I'd be at a table like this, and they would come, and I was about to get hemorrhoids. I thought, Terry, girl, let me give you a hug. Let me give you a hug. And they would whisper in my ear all kinds of stuff. Same thing happened to me. Or, girl, I feel your pain. Or, girl, how you holding up? Or, how you get here? I can't believe you're still standing. Saw you on TV. Blah, 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 blah. And the last one that I did was in California. And it was in a church, and there were women, and I couldn't read from the book anymore. I was so sick of it. And so I read this poem that I had written called Bad Habit, and I'm not a poet, but I'd written this poem, and it was about breaking up with my ex and how he was just like a cigarette and tricked me into acting like he was good for me when in fact he tried to, in so many words, emotionally kill me. And of course I was giving him up, but basically getting over all of this was just like giving up a bad habit. And so I read this poem, and these women at this church, there was 638 of them, and it turns out some of them were friends women that I went to college with. One was my financial aid person who had gotten me grants and all that, and I went to UC Berkeley as an undergraduate. And I was so moved and broken up by how many of these women. A woman that she was in a wheelchair, but the thing that I saw in a lot of these women's faces was sadness, and it just messed me up. And I realized when I walked out of that church that based upon not only just what I had gone through and was still going through, but how many women that I saw in that church on that day were sad. And I said, we don't need to be living like this. We deserve more, and we need to treat ourselves better. And your whole life should not revolve around a stupid ass man. No, seriously. And there are too many other things that we can do for ourselves to make ourselves rejoice and enjoy who we are and what we do. And part of that is, I think, we don't do enough for ourselves, because we're so used to thinking about everybody else. And I think that this is the time, I call it our third act, and this is the time in our lives when we're supposed to think about ourselves, And anyway, all this is to say, I ended up thinking about a lot of different scenarios and how we could, things that happen to us sometimes, in our 40s and 50s, everything from menopause to all kinds of losses and all this. And I wanted to be able to show how we recover. Because to me, some of us do and some of us don't. And so in thinking about it, I thought about the women in Waiting to Exhale. It just popped into my head because I didn't want to tell one woman's story. So subsequently, here we are, okay? And they were really good candidates, you know, because at the time, what's her name, for those of you who may not know, and I don't usually talk to as much before I read, but what's her name, Savannah, this one chick, she hadn't been married at all when the book ended, and I think she was pushing 40. And what's her name, Robin, who I always thought of kind of dingy, and she was pregnant, wasn't going to marry the father. Bernadine had just gone through a divorce and met this guy who was like she thought was the man of her dreams. And then Gloria, who never thought she would ever find love, found it. Okay, and I said, well, who better than them?
Let's give Terry McMillan a big round of applause. Thank you, and we hope she'll come and see us again, possibly next year. Just want to say a few thanks, and we're going to break to the outside area there where Island Java has put out some nibblies for us. There's also a quick photo opportunity for you to, if you wish, with Terry McMillan. And then we have to be out of here. Ross University so graciously allowed us to use their space, and they themselves have another function they have to go off to attend. So I think some of them have already left, but I want to thank those that helped specifically with this event from Ross University, Mrs. Mary Cooper out there, and Bianca Seymour and Michael LaRota, who helped us with all our sound and tech stuff. And I just want to say a big thank you for Jennifer Miles Lockhart. Where are you, Jennifer? Who, out in the back, who really put this a lot of effort into tonight, and our major sponsors of this whole weekend and today's event, again, Ross University, the Bahamas Weekly, GBI Tourism TV, Dave Mackey from Mackey Media, the Grand Bahama Yacht Club, Island Java, and Linda Wells Photography. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Hi, I'm Dr. Janice Johnson, and I work here at Ross University. I'm one of the professors, and it's really been a pleasure to have Terry McMillan here. I've been a fan for many years and have read all of her books and her movies, and it's just been really a delight, and I'm glad that Ross is taking part in adding to the culture in the Freeport area.
My name is Jean Turnquest. I'm a psychiatrist on the island. I was a little reluctant to come, especially when the weather changed, but I am absolutely delighted that I was here. It was dynamic, it was interesting, it was captivating, and I am a much better person for having had this experience.
I came here to support the Island Heartbeats experience that Nicole Scott's been putting on, and it's wonderful. I mean, you get an opportunity to enjoy the Bahamian weather and connect with some really great girls, you know, just have a good time. Terry is an awesome woman and very inspirational, and what I like best about her is she just connects with you on a very personal level, so you can really understand and relate to her.
My name is Sue McCrae. I write under the pseudonym S.L. Shepard. I'm an author, The Green Shutters, and quite a few plays. And I was so thrilled to hear that Terry McMillan was coming. It's not often that we get to meet authors, to hear their point of view, and as she said, to hear her voice. And I really, really loved the fact that she was so honest about everything. Hearing a novel before it's out is not just a treat, it's a privilege. You know, usually writers keep everything under wraps and they don't let anybody know. So I think we were very lucky.
My name is Chantal Bethel.
So tell us, what did you think of tonight's evening, and to have someone like Terry McMillan?
I think she was absolutely amazing. Listening to her reading, I mean, it was like a dream. It flowed, you can feel it. And I mean, it was so easy. The story just flowed so easily. It was fabulous. It was a real treat. Thank you.
Meeting Terry was a very interesting experience because I am an avid reader. And what I find about the books that are written best are written the way the author speaks. And that makes it very real and very true. It rings true because, and now listening to her speak and read a chapter from her book that's coming out in September, what I discovered is the books that I've been reading are Terry. It's her voice. That she writes the way she speaks. It rings true.
Terry's a very down-to-earth, easy to speak to, listen to celebrity. And actually, I mean, it's sort of like reading her books is the same as talking to her. It's very, very, very inspirational. And I'm so glad to be here, and I was able to be a part of this. I have been to the Bahamas before, I enjoyed the island very much, and I really enjoyed some of the events that Island Heartbeats had.
The weekend went awesome. We had some challenges. The weather has been interesting both in the States and in the Bahamas, but we've weathered those storms and we look forward to coming back next year. My stomach hurts so much because I've laughed the entire time I've been here. You don't get a lot of sleep. It is supposed to be relaxing, but it ends up being just an organic experience that you just can't imagine how much fun you're having.
Island Heartbeats! Great.